Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to Race on Main. We have a terrific guest for you. A little different from the guests we've had in the past, so it's kind of interesting.
Kind of more personal.
Quite a bit more personal.
Well, Ryan Drouillard from Tom James, what would you call it, a men's haberdasher?
I think that's about as good a way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So we're going to talk about that and how to get, how to look good on Main Street, as well as we're going to talk about lead in the water, because that's a big issue right now.
It's a big issue now. So sit back, relax, and if you can't see the show, you can always check us out at raceonmain.com, and we'll see you out on Main Street. Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another great edition of Race on Main Street. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show for you. Ryan Drouillard from Tom James, which is a little bit different of a show than what we're used to. It's going to be very, very interesting, and I encourage you to sit back, grab a pad of paper and a pen, take some notes, take down his email address and website, and if for whatever reason you can't make it, you can always check out the show on raceonmain.com. But before we get started, let me introduce my other half, my business partner and brother and co-host and all those other things in between. Stuart, how are you?
And I just want to point out that you said this show is going to be different than other shows we've done.
Yeah, and I didn't really explain that.
It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting.
Well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
The shows we've done in the past, they were pretty interesting too, right? I mean, this show's not going to be different because it's interesting. It's going to be a different style of show.
It's going to be a different topic.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, they all get it. Apparently, you had to clarify.
I just wanted to make sure that the people out there know that we're always interested.
They are brighter than maybe you are. So just let it go.
No question about that.
Yeah. So, but it is a different show. It's an interesting show because it's not so much about computer technology or lawyers or things like that. Something a little bit, as you stated, more personal.
Yeah, it's going to be more personal.
Yeah, so
a little bit more fun, even.
Yeah, I think it will be a lot more fun, actually. So
before we get into the fun, let's get into the heinousness.
Yeah, this is terrible. I know what's coming.
Well, Main Street
is rough.
Main Street is talking about lead in the water
everywhere.
Particularly in the crisis in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, which is pretty bad.
It is pretty bad. 2 years ago, approximately, to save money, the city of Flint switches its water supply from Lake Huron, one of the Great Lakes,
sure,
because it was paying Detroit for access to Lake Huron to the Flint River. Okay, now this was done because the state of Michigan was installing a new water access system to Lake Huron, but it wasn't going to be ready for 2 years. And this would be a cheaper alternative in the time period. Now, Flint, here's where the problem is, okay? Flint River water is highly corrosive. It's harder, it's got stuff in it.
Right.
Okay, 19 times more so than Lake Huron.
So it's not so much that the river is polluted and there's a problem, it's just a different makeup.
Right. It's not technically the water from the river that's the problem. Actually, it's the corrosiveness of the water.
Correct.
Okay? And I don't know if you've ever, I went to college in Reading. Okay, where the water is soft.
Right.
Okay. You have to have it at 200 degrees to get the soap off.
Right.
Down here, closer to Philadelphia, our water's a little bit harder.
Yep.
Well, this water is 19 times harder than normal water, I guess.
Okay. So that means there's more minerals and things like that in it. Yep. Got
salts
it.
and whatnot.
Yep. Sure.
Which you can handle with filters, basic filters. But what happened was this corrosive water erodes the lead in the pipes. Now the pipes, you have to understand also, we're not talking about the water company pipes. We're talking about the pipes that go from the main to the house or in the house itself.
Yep.
Okay. And what it does is it corrodes, and now it starts creating, this lead in the water. Here's the kicker, and I should save this to the end, but I want your reaction because if anti-corrosives, I guess a chemical, had been used as per federal regulations, This all could have been avoided at a cost of $100 per day for the whole thing, not $100 per house.
Right. I mean, right.
For the whole system.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So for $36,000 a year,
for the entire Flint, Michigan,
the whole thing could have been avoided.
Yeah. Instead, you have
lead poisoning, which doesn't take a lot of lead to get you there.
That's right.
And the symptoms are, and these are locked and loaded. This is not something that we're thinking might be. It's
right.
something that actually happens. You're going to see lowering of IQs. You're going to see behavioral changes, not for the good. You're going to see high blood pressure, loss of hearing. I mean, real serious stuff.
I just picture, I mean, how many babies are there in Flint, Michigan?
Well, that's
so, you know, you have an adult that might be able to endure with high blood pressure. Let that be the worst of it.
Let that be the worst
but
thing,
you have
but
a
that's not what we're
6-week-old
talking about.
infant that you're mixing water and powder.
This is a generational problem. This is going to affect Flint, Michigan, and
right.
therefore the rest of us.
For a long time.
For a long time to come. And just so you know, there's a couple of things that also, just to put the information out there, boiling tap water will not help in this situation. Your basic jug water filtration system will not help.
So like the filters that you put on.
Will not help. They talk about a full home water filtration system being something that you can do, okay? Now keeping in mind also that this is not something that's happening necessarily in Philadelphia or in any place else.
Right.
But also keep in mind the people in Flint, Michigan, you know, they weren't told. And in order to sort of protect yourself, the best thing to do is call your local water provider, whoever your water company is, and ask them to test the lead in your water. What they will do is send you a kit, all right? Now you got to follow the directions.
Right.
Okay? And what you can do is free of charge, you send them the vial of water back, I guess, and they test it.
Right, and they want us to do that.
Absolutely, because as I said before, it's not the water system problem.
Right.
It's literally a house-by-house problem.
Right, so it doesn't matter. It's not like they can go check out the main 6 blocks away.
Right,
it doesn't
because that's
matter.
not going to tell you if the pipes in your house are
That's
leaching
right.
lead.
That's
so
right.
you need to test your own water. It's something you should do probably. You change your smoke detector batteries twice a year. Check your water twice a year.
Yeah,
You know,
it's probably
something
not
like
a
that.
bad idea. Yeah, and right.
And it's free.
And it's free. And then if you notice, and you probably only have to check it once if there's a problem, because if there's a problem, you're going to have to go get your pipes fixed.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no question about it.
This is not something you can, I mean,
Right.
you know, who knows who's going to pay for it or what. Worry about that later.
Right. Just get it done.
Stop drinking the water. Right. Stop
Yeah.
drinking the water out of your pipes
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Wow.
So anyway, so that's well. Let's get to the lighter side now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just
No, but
something that,
that-
Main Street is talking about.
Look, and it's something that Main Street is talking about quite a bit. I mean, Flint is in dire straits right now.
Yes, and whenever this show airs, it's still going to be in dire
It's going to be in, and you know what? Next year we'll run a whole show on Flint, Michigan,
And it'll
it's
still be the same thing,
Still
yeah.
going to be having
Absolutely.
the same issues.
So let's talk to Ryan.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Our guest today is Ryan Drouillard. Ryan is with, the company is Tom James Custom Suits, and the email address, which should be up on the screen, is www.tomjames.com, TOMJAMES.com. And Ryan makes sure that the people that host Race on Main Street look good. So Ryan, welcome. Thanks for coming out.
And with one of us, it's a little bit harder than the other. I have
we'll
to
leave it as
point
to
that
which
out.
one that is.
You know, we'll let you all decide.
Right
but-
in. Who's older? Okay. Who's
He
older?
always asks that.
Yeah, because I like the answer.
Yeah, right. If you write in that I'm older,
Yeah.
I'm going to be furious.
Well,
but I
that's-
hear it all the time.
That's well, there's a reason for that.
I don't know why. It's because I don't have as much hair. That's the problem.
Ask Ryan a question.
So, all right. So Tom James. You know, I'm obviously very familiar with Tom James. Ryan and I know each other. Stu and Ryan know each other, and I know the whole setup of Tom James. But the folks out there might not know. So give us a little background, a little bio on Tom James and yourself, and obviously your work history with Tom James. It'd be great.
Great. So Tom James was actually founded in 1966 in Nashville, Tennessee. But over the last 50 years, we've become the oldest and largest custom clothing manufacturer in the United States. So we're in every major city in the United States. Locally, we service from our Philadelphia office. We're actually in King of Prussia, but we service Atlantic City, Reading, South Jersey, the Allentown area. So really a 50-mile radius of greater Philadelphia, we service them. And we are a global player in the industry as well, with offices in Sydney, Australia, in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, in London. So anywhere where there's fashion and there's people wearing suits or sport coats or any sort of business casual wear on a regular basis, we're there making sure that they're fit well and happy with their clothing.
Yeah.
So I think the first question that Main Street is going to have is, what does this have to do with Main Street? I mean, custom clothing, that sounds expensive.
Sure.
But it really isn't.
No, it really is not. So what it has to do with Main Street is fashion, and especially men's fashion, over the last 5 years, and that's how long I've been with Tom James now, it's for 5 years. The men's fashion industry has really taken off. 10 years ago, everybody was wearing just the solid suit, the plain tie, and they're having just a white shirt on. But today, you've got something like I have on today with the window pane and the vest and the pattern tie and things like that. Fashion is becoming more and more in the focal point of Main Street's eye. And everybody is now able really to get a good, high-quality custom garment for a very reasonable price. Our entry-level suits start out at $6.99, and then we have packages where you can get a suit, shirt, and a tie for $7.99.
I think that that's something you need to bang the drum about a little bit. I think people don't understand that.
Yeah, and I think part of it, which is kind of interesting with that, is that it's certainly commensurate with what's out there, but some of the other features that make it, at least for us, quite a bit more reasonable is that the last thing I want to have to do is go to a store, and that's one of the biggest draws for myself. So tell us a little bit about how things take place in terms of you meet Scott Race and you say, hey, look, you wear suits every day, so we have the ability to furnish you with suits at a very reasonable price point, which is very important to Main Street. How does the process work at that point?
Yeah,
because
so
I actually think this is probably the most important
as valuable as
as
absolutely,
anything else.
because
give us an idea.
There's so many different things that you can be doing with your time, and for a lot of people, shopping is something that they don't want to do. And it's really the original reason that Tom James was founded 50 years ago was because busy people had too many things to do on their plate and they didn't want to go shopping. So what I do is I actually come to my clients with the custom clothing. So I meet with my clients at their home or office, have a small presentation, a little bit about the company, what we do, how we do it, and then really it's diving into what makes most sense for you. So not everybody's wearing suits every day, not everybody's wearing sport coats, but most of the time business casual wear is something that maybe somebody's wearing a couple days a week, or suits are a couple days a week. So we want to make sure that we're meeting with the people and discussing what makes the most sense for them. And we actually have these fold-outs here that have all of our suits, sport coats, trousers, all of our fabrics are in these. So you can see that you've got suits, shirts, more shirts, trousers here. And so we kind of present this to our clients. They say, yeah, I really like this suit right here. Get the measurements, style it up the way that you see fit. And what's really unique is that every suit we have in here is in your size.
Right.
Because we just have a bolt of fabric waiting at our facilities, waiting to be given measurements. And so we can style it any way that you see fit. Scott, I know that you like 3-button suits, but some people like 2-button. For example, I've got my vest on, flat front trousers, no cuffs, cuffs. And that also goes a lot into it because there's so much that goes into a garment, into a man's suit, that it's tough to figure out, okay, what's in style, what's out of style, what color should I be wearing, what shirts can I match up with this suit? And that's something that I also help with. So I am fully trained on all of the fit, fabric, and style that goes into everyone's wardrobe. So having that kind of personal expertise allows me to steer my clients in the right direction.
Yeah, that was my question. I have been in certain, when I was younger in my career, and I would go to buy a suit at one of these, off the rack kind of stores. I never felt like I was getting an understanding of things like fabric and cut, let's say, or style, as opposed to just what is out there for everybody. But if I can't even articulate it, I'm one of those guys who just can't even articulate it, you can help me with that.
Absolutely. One of the my favorite things to do is to really educate somebody on what's going on in the fashion industry. And, you know, we try to make sure that you're not duplicating anything in your wardrobe. I'm sure there's been times you go to buy a suit, you buy it, you go to put it hanging in your closet, and you see the same suit staring right back at you, and you're like, what did I just do? I wasn't thinking. So being able to say, you know, this is what you have, this is where you need to go next, and these are a couple ideas that I also think you should consider, really kind of opens up someone's wardrobe. And, you know, my job is to sometimes push people outside their comfort zone because maybe they've always been wearing solid suits or stripes or anything like that.
I think that's a direct hint to me.
Actually, I was thinking of Dave.
Well, I
finally got him into a suit.
Yeah. So, but I'm not going out of my comfort zone with suits. But but again, what's interesting about this is it can literally be two things. One is that you know, to go in, and Stu, you and I are a little bit irregular shape, height-wise, width-wise.
We're short and fat. I know. We're short and broad.
No, I am short and broad. Stu is short and a little round.
A little chubby.
Okay, so it's not like you walk into a store and there is a suit staring at you that's going to work. So, right. So in this circumstance, when you have a little bit of what I'll say an irregular shape, it obviously makes it quite a bit easier to be able to say, hey, look, you know, I need a jacket that is this, but I need trousers that are a little bit smaller, whatever the case may be, that kind of stuff.
Or even within the drop of the jacket.
Right.
That can be
absolutely
that can be customized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And especially in today, you know, a lot of men are very athletic build, and the current style for a lot of people is the trim is in. So to find something, if you're an athlete, that fits you in the shoulders but then is narrow throughout your waist is very tough. So we actually take about 25 to 30 different measurements to make sure that we get the right fit for our clients, making sure that we get the right incline, so make sure their posture, the slope of their shoulders. And what's something that's really unique is I would say roughly 99% of the people that I meet with, there's some sort of difference from the right side of their body to the left side of their body. Mm-hmm. So maybe they've got a high hip, or their shoulder slopes a little more, maybe one of their arms is a little bit longer than the other. These are things that we're able to recognize and then make adjustments in our measurements to make sure that the right fit is made for our clients at our factories. And another thing that's unique about Tom James is that we are primarily manufactured here in the United States. So our suits are made in Westminster, Maryland. Our shirts are made in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. And we have a small import line that encompasses about 15 to 20% of our clothing made in a facility that we own and regulate in Tomé, Chile. So we're actually 99% vertically integrated, opposed to, you know, as you'd mentioned, the box stores who they may have their products in their store, but they have to contract with someone to get that manufactured, and that could be outside of the country.
Yeah, it's a nice added bonus.
I think so too.
I mean, we talk about manufacturing in the United States, and when you can pump up the idea of manufacturing on whatever level, and that's what this is fantastic. Now, I have a question, because I've run into this a few times, or at least I've gone down this path with Ryan. You come back with a suit, and I'm like, it doesn't quite feel right for me. You know, what happens then?
So what we do is, if that happens, and typically minor alterations need to be taken care of on the first fitting. So let me take a step back, because earlier I had shown the folders. A fabric is selected, I get the measurements, send them to our factory to get made up, and then about 6 to 8 weeks later I come back, do fitting, make sure everything fits you the way that you want, and if there are any alterations, then I get them taken care of. So I take it back, I have a tailor that I use that handles our alterations, and then we deliver the finished product back to you. So it's a scenario where I'm never leaving my clients with a product that maybe they're unhappy with. And I always follow up. Scott knows this. 2 weeks after I leave a suit with somebody, I'm calling them saying, hey, just want to make sure that you're happy with everything. Because if there isn't anything or something that's kind of, you know, just ticking at you, then I want to get that taken care of. Because the last thing I want is for somebody to say, I want to wear that suit, but it just doesn't feel right, and it just hangs in the closet and just collects dust all day. That's the worst thing that I could ever think of.
So if I just want to make clear to everybody. I mean, we're talking about, in terms of the box stores, we're talking about similar, if not better, price points. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the convenience of an appointment, which takes place in my office or in my home. We're talking about, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, again, when I was younger and I would shop in box stores, that I went back for the suit, to collect the suit, and had to leave it.
Right.
Because it's almost never a situation, and it's certainly never a situation where they can just fix it right then and there. So it's really, in terms of cost, convenience, time frame, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and that's really, those are the main areas that we pride ourselves on, is being convenient for our clients, being able to meet them at their home or office, because the last thing you want to do on a Saturday afternoon in the fall is, run to the mall, deal with the lines, deal with maybe you don't find what you want, so then you go back and it's a completely failed trip anyways. So we take all that out, take all the headache, and we actually save all of the measurements, all of your preferences on our files. So it becomes even easier moving forward, because sometimes it can take 15, 20 minutes. If my client calls me and says, hey, I'm thinking about a new navy stripe, I'll come by, show them 4 or 5 ideas. I say, yeah, I like that one, double check some measurements, and I'm out the door. So really just trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. And then we also carry other items as well, as far as shoes, belts, cufflinks, casual wear. We've partnered our company with other fine clothing companies to make sure that we make the experience as easy as possible and try to be a one-stop shop for our clients.
Tell us about casual wear a little bit. Go into that.
Sure. So we carry a number of different casual jackets, sweaters, shirts. We actually just started a new line recently. It just rolled out this month. We actually do custom sweaters for our clients. So a lot of the times you can't find a sweater that fits you the way that you want. We've got a number of different fabrics that you can select from, and a number of different styles to make a sweater specifically for you.
Stu's a sweater wearer.
I do. I wear sweater. Yeah. I'm a sweater guy.
So, when it comes to the casual wear, a lot of people today aren't in suits, but they need to dress up. So just having a nice shirt that fits you the way that you want, and maybe, can be cufflinks or no cufflinks. Get the collar to be the style that you want it to be, and a nice pair of trousers that fit you the way that you want is just as important as having a good-looking suit, because maybe that shirt and that pair of trousers, that is your suit. That's what you're in Monday through Friday, and you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself, your brand, your image in the right light.
And it's funny because over the last week, I've gone to work in jeans and like a t-shirt, because I have a new puppy, you all know about. So, and the puppy come and will continue forever, like our old dog did come to work with me on most days. So I've been in jeans, boots to walk them and things like that sort of get. And I'll tell you, I don't feel nearly as productive. I'm not in my as Jake puts it, your uniform. Why aren't you wearing your uniform, kind of thing? And
well, when you look good, you feel good, you work harder.
That's right.
It definitely has an impact on it, regardless of it. There's an effect on it. That's why billions of dollars are spent on all of this every year. It has a very, very positive effect.
I have another question though. So who is, we put ourselves out there as businessmen, and there are lawyers, and who's your clients? Sure. Give me a perfect client scenario.
I mean, really, the perfect client, of course, is someone who's in the suit every day. That's going to be my perfect client. But we have numerous different clients, as I'd mentioned, who aren't in suits every day. Just someone who is tired of kind of the same old that they're receiving in the box stores day after day. So someone who's looking to upgrade their wardrobe, doesn't really have time to shop, but wants to look good. That's who I want to work with.
Yeah, that's me. And
that's
you.
Me too.
Yeah,
and quite frankly, again, I can't get over the fact.
It's a lot more people than
it should be everybody. Well, if you think about, and I'm not, obviously, I don't want the box stores to come and hunt me down or anything. But
but look,
it doesn't make sense that if you can get a good quality fabric I defy you to go to one of these box stores and find a suit for that kind of quality for that kind of money, with that kind of convenience.
Right, and I think what the issue is folks say, oh, that must be way out of what I'm willing to spend on it, without having.
Well, that's what I was trying to bring out.
And without really investigating it. So, certainly feel free to check out TomJames.com. You can see all of the things that they have out there. it's really a great experience. And I know that, and I think sometimes with some folks, and I'm a little bit this way, is they say, these tiny little swatches, they're pretty hard to judge. There's plenty of pictures. Ryan comes out, he's got a whole show for you in order for you to be able to see what it all looks like, not just as a little tiny piece of fabric, so you don't have to worry about that. And I think that's a little bit of maybe a stopping piece for some others. So you want to get out of the show. We have a few minutes left. I saw, and I deleted it all quickly because I read the top line about beverages, the most popular beverages. So I didn't, just like with the music stuff, I didn't want to see what any of them were. And
I want to see if it Guns N' Roses into this.
I don't know if I can do that.
Well, I wanted to, because following up the water thing,
Yep.
I wanted to talk about, the most consumed beverages in the world, and I felt, and this was from a website called drinkbusiness.org.
Right, so
So it's not even it's .org. They're just trying to get the information out there, right?
Yeah, I know the number one without.
Well, let's go backwards.
now
Let's do it the
Okay.
top 10 list kind of way. Can
All
you
right.
start with number 10 and go all the way up to number 1? And this is consumed by volume, so it's,
Yeah, no, I understand. So, and I would say water's number one. It has to be.
the list excludes water. So
Okay.
yes, assumably
All right, so
water is the number
okay.
one, of course.
All right, so number.
Just throw
so-
some drinks
okay.
out there, and I'll tell you if they're on the list.
Okay. I am going to throw a weird one out there, which I think will be listed as a drink.
Okay.
And it's something I like very much, is soup.
Soup. I thought you were going in a different direction until you said I like very much. Soup is on the list. It is actually number 9.
I don't know how, but for whatever reason, that was the first thing that jumped out at me, and tea. Because
Well, tea is number 1.
Right, that I get.
Because that's and I was surprised at tea because I thought it was going to be coffee, which is number 2.
Right. No,
but,
tea, I mean, you think about in Asia how popular tea is. And
well,
how
that's
many
what it
people
comes
there
down
are.
to.
Yeah,
That's what it comes down to. There's more people in Asia than there are in South America, I guess.
Right.
I thought,
Wait, let me try to guess a couple more. We have a few minutes. I can do this. Well, for Warren Buffett, Coke has to be on there.
Interestingly, Coke is number 5, and they were very clear about the fact that they are not talking about soda,
Just Coke.
just Coke.
But then Pepsi, I would think, is
yeah,
on the list.
that's what's sort of now. This is a .org, so it's not like sponsored
Right,
by
I
anybody.
understand. Right.
But no other soft drink
Now.
made it to this list.
Now that discredits everything right then and there.
Well,
for
maybe,
me,
I don't
a
know.
bit.
They-
the tea, yes. The water, yes, of course. But to have Coke and not have Pepsi,
I
there's
don't know what
not
to
that
tell
much
you.
of a differential if
maybe
Coke's
there
coming
is,
in and
though. I
fine.
mean, is Pepsi even available in certain parts of Asia? I mean,
It's gotta be.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I thought it was interesting that they combined energy drinks. So all energy drinks combined is like number 8. Number 7 was vodka, which is the only distilled spirit on the list.
Okay.
So all those people in the islands drinking rum, I guess they're not drinking enough. Wine, which is not technically a distilled spirit,
Right.
is also on the list. Beer,
Yeah.
and then orange juice is the number 3 most consumed. And I'm gonna
I know
I'm
where.
gonna put it out there.
No, I know because
Number 10 on the list.
Yeah, I know what this is
Yeah.
because, and it actually made me think of the babies drinking water in
Yeah.
Flint. That's what made me think of the powder. But I know what you're going to say.
Number 10 on the list is breast milk.
Yeah, I bet.
So that's the 10th most.
Yeah. So and it's
So that's I mean, I obviously don't want to make light of what's going on in Flint, Michigan, but
Right.
here's some alternatives.
There are some
what you
alternatives.
can
I
drink.
appreciate that. Again, as always, please don't forget your first responders. They're out there. I read a very interesting article that was produced by my local township. Now, so I don't know if it's absolutely one. I'm assuming it's true. That's all I can say. And I think I remember the number correctly, that it announced that the police department, but it may have been all the first responders, last year responded to over 40,000 calls over the course of the year. So think about that, okay? These folks need our help, so make sure you don't forget about them. So we appreciate you watching, thank you, and we'll see you out on Main Street real soon.